Saturday a little bit too tough for everybody to get into work, or what? What we got going on? Exactly. Thank you very much for coming. I appreciate that. That's good. That's all that matters. Okay, how we doing? Good? Okay. All right, so obviously getting closer here to, to game time. In our world, really, it's still Friday. In our world, as we push forward here, we'll, obviously push everything accordingly. So hope you get out there today and get another good, session in. Kind of been building as the week goes. That's kind of the mentality right now. And we'll keep pushing with the game plan, trying to get better. So I'll just kind of open it up.
Talked to Chris White earlier this week. He said he kind of didn't have a number one tight end at this point. Is that a position that's kind of still developing as you guys hit the season here?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a position in general. Just if you look at the league, that has really become a multiple position, I would say, in the last 8 years, where you might have two guys that are really quote-unquote starters or quote-unquote number one guys. So I think there's a lot of personnel groups where multiple tight ends are used. Sometimes one tight end is used in certain situations. Sometimes another tight end is used in a different situation. So I think it's a really kind of a unique position. It's kind of, I relate it a lot to the linebackers on defense. There's inside linebackers, outside linebackers. There's different types of players in those positions that need to be utilized in different situations. So, I think all those guys are doing a real good job, though, like I said, really through camp competing, for different spots and responsibilities and play time. We'll keep pushing that with that group.
Just to follow up to that, too, do you think it seems like you have a pretty versatile group there, guys that can do a lot of different things, and to your point, is that good that you have that versatility, guys that can do?
It always helps us, I would say in general, and especially with that position, again, because it is kind of, caught in between, run and pass. And that's really the same, like I said, with the linebackers. When that position is critical, that, you do have to be able to perform in both of those situations at a high level, having some flexibility and some multiplicity with the players, both in number and also their own individual skill set, can help you do some different things game plan wise and scheme wise with those guys. Yep.
Bob said a bunch of times earlier this offseason that you guys would keep 3 running backs out more than likely each game. With the construct of your roster, is it more likely that you keep 4 up now because it seems like each one of those guys has a role and other positions are deeper?
Sure. I think, week in, week out, I wouldn't really ever put a number on any position, who's going to be up and who's going to be down. We're going to try to what we can that particular week to fit what best is the game plan, to go out and execute at a high level. It might be more running backs. It might be more wide receivers. Could be an extra lineman. We might have a situation there where we need to go in a different personnel group from that standpoint. So I wouldn't always just, lock in a number from that look. The good thing is about that, particular group, like you mentioned, there are, I would say, some different skill sets there in different areas of the game, not only offensively but also special teams wise, where those players can help us. And certainly, special teams, that phase can never really be lost. Don't forget about how important that phase is to the game. It's usually a big part of the battle of field position, which is critical to the game, especially in a game like these all are that are so close and so tightly matched.
To follow up on that a little bit, and maybe to get some clarity, is Amir your kick returner?
Yeah, I think you'll find out when we get that first one out there the other night.
Just a question about the season, but it's not a big picture, but not every new coach takes over a team that's had back-to-back 9-win seasons. I just wonder from your standpoint, expectations are one thing externally. Does that add any pressure that you have to do better to make a successful season, just from your standpoint?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think external expectations are, they are what they are. I can't control them. I can't really, there's probably a lot of people outside this building that have no idea what goes on inside the building, from that standpoint. So we're just always going to try to take it day by day. We're going to take it game by game. That's the only thing that matters to us. I think, to put numbers on what 16 games is going to look like is just unrealistic for anybody. So we're going to try to make sure that we do the best job we can with this game.
And also you said about the progression. Is that to get better game by game by game? You're not looking to 20, 28 or anything like that. Is that your theory to get better as the season progresses?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really, the phase that we're in is we hope that, each week gets better and the players get more comfortable with everything that we're doing. And we, obviously learn more about what we do well and what we don't and how to improve on that. And like in any game, in any competitive situation, if you can eliminate those things that you don't do well or bad plays or bad situations, if you can get rid of those, then, you got a better chance to succeed and a better chance to win. So that's what we'll do here every single week.
Throughout training camp, I think most of us over here regularly noted the physicality, intensity, duration of the practices. Do you dial that back a little bit in the regular season, make sure guys are more fresh for games? And two, can that be almost like training in a flak jacket and then taking it off, where things suddenly seem a little bit easier because of the intensity early?
Sure. Training camp is a great opportunity for us to go out there every single day in pads and work on our fundamentals and our techniques. As you get into the season, things get very specific. You're playing a very specific opponent. You're going to do things a certain way. You're really obviously only allowed to have pads on 1 day a week, so the fundamentals that you drill are different with pads and without pads. Try to do the best you can, but you have to take advantage of that time during training camp. That's the most important part, to get out there and get better fundamentally and to get the good evaluation of the players. So it is a little bit of a different mode, as far as we're concerned, but we're still out there working hard. It is definitely a situation where you need to build through the course of the week. You need to get stronger as you go through the course of the week. And, I think I've mentioned a couple of times here, we only got 16 of these, so we can't play each game to get better. We have to practice to get better. That's the only way you can get better. It's different than some of those other sports where there's just game after game after game where they get the live reps in order to get better. We can't really do that. So we got to do it in practice when we can, and each week will be different. Obviously depending on the schedule and how long the week is and the different opportunities that we have to practice in different modes, we'll take advantage of that the best we can. And certainly the team in general, just wherever the team's at that week, and our assessment of do they need more of this or do they need less of that, whatever it is, we'll always adjust and adapt to whatever fits them best.
Have you figured out captains yet?
Yeah, you know what? We're working on that right now. I think we're going to announce that. Should announce that later today.
So you're going to permanent, just to be clear, you got permanent captains for the season?
We'll have captains for the season. Yep.
Just one other thing, based on your experience, how much more do you know about your team after 2 or 3 games than you do going into kickoff Monday night? In other words, as it develops, how much more do you learn or confirm about your team?
Yeah, I think I learn stuff about this team every single day, which is good. And I would say we learn a lot through the preseason. You learn a lot this week too, as you kind of narrow everything down. And obviously you're working with real specific players in certain situations, and you see what they can handle and what they can't, and what's a good amount to be able to kind of load them up as you go through the week with the amount of practice reps that we have now, which is a little bit different again than training camp. There's certain amount of reps that we put each group through to prepare. So you're trying to get that perfect balance of what is the right amount of repetition and what is the right amount of information that they can handle to go out and execute. And unfortunately, I don't have a good, our first game will be our best analysis of that, and then we'll have to improve on that as we go. So that's a big part of it.
To bounce back to the kind of the tight end talk, what kind of role, how big of a role can we expect a guy like Akeem Vales to play?
Sure. Again, I think all the tight ends, are going to be, ready to roll. So we'll see how that shakes out here when we get to game time from that standpoint. And I think there's always a part of this when you get into the game, somebody's role may increase or decrease based on how the game's going. So it's hard to just say, hey, this is exactly what it's going to be from that aspect. I would say this, though, I think, again, like I mentioned before, I think all the tight ends have done a real good job of competing in all different areas. And, I think they're all in that mode. They're preparing to get ready to go for the game, and we'll see what happens when we get to Monday night.
Talked a lot this summer about using this time to teach the front 7 guys the techniques and the gap fits and everything for your scheme. Just curious, like when you bring in someone like Romeo or Eli late, how steep's the learning curve for those guys?
Definitely, and something you try to do when you look at them on film and before you bring in a guy in like that, is there similar techniques that they're using to what you do, and I would say just, a guy like Romeo, for instance, he plays with a very similar style that we teach. So the transition may be a little bit quicker in that situation. It may not. There's some terminology there, but at least on film, you try to assume like, okay, hey, there's some things here we could relate to what he's been doing previously that will help him. And then there's certainly guys you bring in that, haven't been in a system like that before, where there is a lot of extra teaching that you need to do. So practice time is so long. You try to get a little bit of extra work maybe after practice if you can, or, in the meetings, really taking time or extra time with that player to, try to explain to him. And then there is a little bit of a catch-up factor where that, that guy's got to come in and do the extra work on his own and, try to improve and get better, because there is a little bit of a structure in place right now where we're pushing forward every single day. We don't really have an opportunity to kind of go back and redo a day, Wednesdays and Wednesday, Thursday's a Thursday, Friday's a Friday, Saturday and game day. So, it's kind of twofold with that. But you do try to get a good evaluation of that as you can on film, and hopefully when you get a person like that, it transfers over pretty quick. Okay? All right. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.